Hey everyone, welcome to the Curious Sister at Today-Sandy channel. On this channel, we'll be sharing fun videos regularly, so make sure to subscribe. Thanks for all your support. Tilda. Today we're diving into a super fascinating topic. Clones. Clones, or as some might call them, replicants, are humans created through cloning technology, essentially making a genetic copy of the original. This idea isn't just sparking intense debates in the scientific community. It's also stirring up huge discussions in ethics, law, and philosophy. Isn't that wild? Have you ever thought about the possibility of being cloned one day? Or would you even want to be cloned?
Ow.
If it were up to you, how many times would you want to be replicated? Personally, if I were in your shoes, I'd probably go for one or maybe two clones. What about you? Today we're diving into a classic sci-fi movie, I, Clone. The story unfolds in 2019, where a wealthy man has cloned himself 7 times. That means this guy has created a whole army of clones. The mission of this clone army is to accompany the man's child, Griffith, in every aspect of life, doing whatever he needs. These clones were created specifically to be there for Griffith as he grows up. When they hit 18, the replicants start feeling confused about their roles and begin to rebel. Eventually, they break free from the mansion, and this connection with the outside world shatters the monotony of their lives. This escape grants them freedom and happiness, while their master Grayford spirals down a path of self-destruction. Even though the story of I, Clone takes place in 2019, scientists in the real world haven't stopped their research on cloning. So, can we actually clone a person? How does cloning work anyway? If it were possible to clone yourself, what would that even look like? And is it really ethical or reasonable to do so? Let's dive into whether science can actually clone humans. Back in 1996, scientists made a huge leap by successfully cloning the first sheep, named Dolly, using techniques developed in 1990. Since then, they've gone on to clone various animals like dogs and cats using similar methods. So the big question is, can we clone humans? The answer is yes, it's possible. Back in 2019, Chinese scientists claimed they had successfully cloned a human, but soon after, that experiment faced a lot of skepticism. Still, the dream of cloning humans hasn't faded away for scientists. In a study from 2018, scientists claimed they successfully cloned non-human primates. They injected healthy embryonic stem cells into enucleated egg cells and then implanted them into a surrogate mother. After a lengthy gestation period of 30 weeks, they welcomed 3 healthy cloned monkeys into the world. The genes of the 3 little monkeys are just like those of their mother species. So, what does the emergence of cloned monkeys really mean? It shows that scientists have cracked the code on cloning primates. But don't worry, they're not planning to clone humans. Most scientists around the world agree that cloning humans is a big no-no. The use of cloning technology is likely to deepen the inequalities in our world. Think about it, clones could really leave a psychological mark on their creators. Since a clone is a complete genetic copy of someone, they share the same genetic makeup. But the original person has no idea they have a clone out there. Over time, this could seriously mess with the clone's mental health. Plus, there's the concern that having clones could diminish the diversity of the human gene pool, making it harder for us to thrive as a species. It's a lot to think about, right? Then there's the issue of social inequality. The technology behind cloning is super complex and expensive, meaning it would likely only be accessible to a handful of ultra-rich individuals. That's just not fair, you know? It could create a whole new level of division in our society. The use of cloning technology is likely to deepen the inequalities in our world. Think about if clones could really leave a psychological mark on their creators. Since a clone is a complete genetic copy of someone, they share the same genetic makeup, but the original person has no idea they have a clone out there. Over time, this could seriously mess with the clone's mental health. Plus, there's the concern that having clones could diminish the diversity of the human gene pool, making it harder for us to thrive as a species. It's a lot to think about, right? Clones are individuals whose genes are exact replicas of another person's. This means that the human gene pool is becoming increasingly homogenized, which could lead to a decline in our reproductive capabilities. All these reasons really highlight why replicants can be such a terrifying concept. So, if we can't replicate humans, what about replicating ourselves? Is that even possible? And more importantly, is it ethical or reasonable to do so? Honestly, there's no straightforward answer, and it dives deep into some pretty heavy ethical and philosophical questions. If I could clone myself, I'd totally create different versions of me. I'd send one part of myself to tackle all those things I've always wanted to try, but didn't have the guts to go for. It's like getting a professional degree, starting my own business, or diving into a new job. There are just so many things I want to experience, but time feels like it's slipping away, you know? If I could clone myself, I'd send different versions of me out to try all sorts of new things, you know? That way, we could all come back and share our experiences, totally enriching my life, right? Is it really ethical or reasonable to copy ourselves? I don't think so. Each of us is unique, and our genes are all different. When we start duplicating ourselves, it leads to a world filled with more and more mess. And that original, one-of-a-kind essence of life becomes more and more homogenized. If we could actually clone ourselves, I feel like I'd never meet another me that's connected to my own existence. I truly believe that everyone's journey in life is one of a kind, and we should really cherish and embrace every moment of it. If I could clone myself, I'd probably end up with a whole bunch of versions of myself that are totally the opposite of who I am. Imagine having clones that are more talented, more charming, smarter, and just all around more capable. If I could do that, I'd want to be transformed into a better version of myself. One that could step in and handle all the things I struggle with. A version that wouldn't have to deal with pain and hardship anymore. Wouldn't that be something? In 2020, the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine was awarded to Michael Smith, a professor at the University of Cambridge and a member of the National Academy of Sciences and the Royal Society. He said, "The development of DNA sequencing technology has revolutionized biological research, and gene replication techniques have helped humanity overcome certain genetic diseases. So, how should we as humans view gene replication? Copying others without permission goes against the natural order and can really disrupt social stability. Cloning people is just plain wrong. It messes with the essence of family, stirs up societal conflicts, and hinders our overall development as humans. The scientific value of gene cloning is something we can't overlook, right? This technology has so many amazing applications in medicine. For instance, it can help treat certain genetic diseases. Plus, cloning embryonic stem cells can be used for drug screening, which is pretty cool. And let's not forget how it can boost crop yields, making farming more efficient. It even plays a role in saving endangered species. How awesome is that? The scientific value of gene cloning is something we can't overlook, right? This technology has so many amazing applications in medicine. For instance, it can help treat certain genetic diseases. Plus, cloning embryonic stem cells can be used for drug screening, which is pretty cool. And let's not forget how it can boost crop yields, making farming more efficient. It even plays a role in saving endangered species. How awesome is that? Then, in 2020, Chinese scientists took it a step further by using CRISPR to clone the first induced pluripotent stem cells from a cystic fibrosis patient. This breakthrough opened up new avenues for treating the condition. It's just mind-blowing how these advancements can potentially change lives, right? Cloning technology plays a significant role in boosting crop yields. For instance, scientists have replicated fungi from major antibiotic manufacturers, leading to increased antibiotic production. Similarly, they've cloned rice, which has helped enhance rice yields. The application of cloning technology holds significant value for humanity, but we need to be mindful of the dangers it brings. Clones could seriously impact social stability, potentially exacerbating inequality. They might also create psychological burdens for those involved. And there's a risk that cloning could diminish the genetic diversity necessary for human reproduction. So the ethical risks surrounding cloning are enormous. As a student, I really need to dive deep into the science behind gene cloning, understanding both its applications and limitations. It's super important to grasp how this technology works, right? As a citizen, I should actively engage in social discussions around this topic, contributing to the conversation about the potential dangers of cloning humans. And on a broader scale, as a member of humanity, I must think carefully about how gene cloning is applied. It's all about raising awareness and ensuring that this technology is used responsibly. Law and policy. Around 70 countries worldwide, including the United States, China, Argentina, and Colombia, have banned human cloning. The United Nations passed the Declaration on Human Cloning in 2005, opposing any cloning practices that violate human dignity. China's laws clearly prohibit reproductive cloning, but they maintain an open stance towards therapeutic cloning. All right, let's wrap up what we talked about today. We dove into the fascinating world of cloning technology, right? It's pretty wild how it's already being used on animals like dogs and cats and even non-human primates. This technology has some amazing applications in fields like medicine and agriculture. But we also touched on the potential dangers that come with cloning. It's definitely a double-edged sword, don't you think? Cloning could really stir up some chaos in society, right? It might deepen social divides, leave psychological scars on the clones themselves, and even impact the human gene pool's ability to thrive. So, let's dive into this thought-provoking question. Is cloning ourselves even possible, and is it ethical or reasonable? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that little bell so you won't miss any updates. Can't wait to see you next time.